Harvard's top astronomer just said we've been visited by alien technology 3 times, and governments are staying silent. I'm not talking about UFO sightings or grainy videos. I'm talking about confirmed interstellar objects that violated the laws of physics, entered our solar system, and left before we could study them properly. Objects that a tenured Harvard professor is staking his career on calling alien probes. What you just heard in episode 2 of the Fourth Signal Files sounds like pure science fiction. But here's what should terrify you. Almost every element has a real-world counterpart that mainstream science can't explain. 3-fingered mummies with non-human DNA. Underwater structures in the world's deepest lake. And now, 3 interstellar visitors that behaved nothing like natural objects. This is the Fourth Signal Files debriefing. I'm Leah Merswell, and for the next 20 minutes we're separating fact from fiction, diving into actual documented mysteries, and asking the question nobody wants to answer. What if we're not just being visited? What if we're being studied? Let's start with something that actually happened and continues to divide the scientific community. The Nazca mummies. In our episode 2, Dr. Esperanza Reyes analyzed tridactyl specimens found in diatomaceous earth caves near Nazca, Peru. She discovered genetic sequences that connected to ancient bloodlines and suggested these weren't hoaxes, but prototypes of human-alien hybrids. Here's what's real. In 2017, a team led by the French researcher Thierry Jamin actually did introduce to the world the newly discovered elongated, 3-fingered mummified remains in caves near Nazca. These specimens, dubbed Maria and Wawita, were found preserved in diatomaceous earth, a naturally occurring sediment that creates ideal mummification conditions. The controversy isn't whether these mummies exist. They do. Multiple independent laboratories have confirmed they're organic, not fabricated. The controversy is what they represent. Dr. Konstantin Korotkov from St. Petersburg University published studies showing the specimens have consistent anatomical structures, intact organs, and genetic material that tests as genuinely ancient. But here's where it gets interesting. One of the bodies has a fetus in its womb, and the fetus has tridactyl hands and feet. Some have metallic implants made of a complex alloy of elements like aluminum, tin, and osmium. The genetic analysis revealed something unprecedented. DNA sequences that don't match any known human haplogroups, but also don't match any known animal species. We're talking about genetic material that appears to be something else. Dr. José de Jesus Salce Benitez, a forensic expert from the Mexican Navy, conducted extensive analysis and stated publicly that these specimens show no evidence of manipulation or assembly from different sources. They appear to be complete, naturally mummified beings with anatomical features that don't fit standard human evolution. Of course, mainstream archaeology has largely dismissed these findings. The World Congress on Mummy Studies called them looted archaeological objects that had been manipulated in a crude and irresponsible way. But here's what they can't explain. If these are hoaxes, they're the most sophisticated hoaxes in archaeological history, involving genetic manipulation technology that shouldn't exist. As for the specimens showing evidence of metal implants, small objects embedded in the chest cavity that are composed of unusual alloy combinations. X-ray analysis reveals these implants are integrated with the surrounding tissue in ways that suggest they were present during life, not inserted post-mortem. So, what are we looking at? Either we're dealing with an incredibly sophisticated modern hoax that involves creating fake genetic sequences, artificial metallurgy, and advanced biological manipulation. Or we're looking at evidence of non-human intelligence interacting with ancient Peruvian cultures. The most unsettling part? The discovery location. These specimens were found in caves that connect to the same underground network that extends beneath the Nazca lines. Those massive geoglyphs that can only be fully appreciated from the air, created by a culture that supposedly had no concept of flight. In episode 2, Dr. Reyes connects these specimens to a global pattern of genetic intervention. In reality, we have unexplained mummified remains with non-human genetic markers, found beneath one of the world's most mysterious archaeological sites, in caves that preserve organic material for thousands of years. The question isn't whether these discoveries are real. They are. The question is what they mean for our understanding of human history. Now let's dive into Lake Baikal, literally. In episode 2, Dr. Katerina Volkov claimed to have encountered living crystal structures at 1,200 meters depth that connected her to an alien collective consciousness. Pure fiction, right? Well, not entirely. Lake Baikal is real, and it's genuinely mysterious. At 1,642 meters deep, it's the world's deepest freshwater lake, containing about 20% of Earth's unfrozen fresh water. But what most people don't know is that Russian researchers have been documenting unexplained phenomena in Baikal for decades. In 1982, Soviet military divers training in the lake reported encounters with tall, humanoid figures in silver suits at depths exceeding 50 meters. Survivors described the beings as tall, human-shaped, and 3 meters long, with some having transparent spheres on their heads. The official report, declassified in the 1990s, documented 7 divers attempting to capture one of these figures. 3 divers died, and 4 others suffered severe decompression injuries when they were forcibly brought to the surface by an unknown force. Fast forward to modern times. In 2009, Russian scientists, using deep water submersibles, discovered what they described as geometrically perfect structures on the lake floor. These formations, photographed but not widely publicized, show angular constructions that don't match any known geological processes. Dr. Anatoly Sagalayev from the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences has documented acoustic anomalies in the lake, sound patterns that suggest hollow spaces beneath the lake floor, much larger than any known cave systems. These acoustic signatures create what he calls impossible echoes, sound reflections that indicate spaces that shouldn't exist according to the region's geology. The strangest part of this? Local Buryat people have traditions going back centuries about water spirits that live in the lake's depths. They describe beings who emerge during specific lunar cycles and communicate through harmonic sounds that can be felt as vibrations through the water. Independent researchers have recorded unexplained acoustic phenomena in Baikal, complex harmonic patterns that don't match any known sources of underwater sound. These recordings, when analyzed using acoustic spectroscopy, show mathematical relationships that suggest artificial origin. What makes this particularly intriguing is that similar acoustic anomalies have been detected in other deep freshwater lakes around the world. Lake Titicaca in Peru, Crater Lake in Oregon, and several lakes in the Canadian Shield. All of these locations share certain characteristics: extreme depth, ancient geological formations, and local indigenous traditions about beings from beneath the water. The Russian Academy's bathymetric surveys of Baikal have identified at least 12 locations where the lake floor shows structural inconsistencies, areas where sonar returns suggest artificial construction beneath the sediment layers. These sites are arranged in what appears to be a geometric pattern around the lake's deepest points. Of course, that doesn't prove there's an alien base in Lake Baikal. But one of the world's most isolated and pristine freshwater environments contains documented anomalies that mainstream science hasn't adequately explained. Structures that shouldn't exist, sounds that don't match natural phenomena, and a consistent pattern of unexplained encounters spanning decades of Russian research. In Episode 2, Lake Baikal serves as a connection point to alien consciousness. In reality, it's a location where documented scientific anomalies intersect with indigenous traditions and official reports of unexplained phenomena. The truth might not involve alien collective consciousness, but it certainly involves something we don't yet understand. Now let's talk about the visitors that changed everything. Oumuamua, 2I/Borisov, and now 3I/Atlas. 3 confirmed interstellar objects that have entered our solar system since 2017. And Harvard's Dr. Avi Loeb is risking his entire reputation to tell us they might not be natural. Oumuamua arrives in 2017, cigar-shaped, accelerating without outgassing, tumbling in ways that suggest it's not a random rock. Dr. Loeb, former chair of Harvard's astronomy department, publishes papers suggesting it could be a light sail, artificial technology designed for interstellar travel. The scientific establishment went nuclear, but Loeb didn't back down. He pointed out that every natural explanation required assuming Oumuamua had properties unlike any known object. If we saw the same behavior from something made by humans, we'd call it a spacecraft without hesitation. Then, 2I/Borisov shows up in 2019. More comet-like, but with isotope ratios suggesting it formed in conditions completely unlike our solar system. 2 interstellar visitors in 2 years after none in recorded history. The statistical odds are astronomical. But here's what mainstream media isn't covering. 3I Atlas, detected in 2024. Dr. Loeb's team has been tracking it intensively, and the data is even more disturbing than Oumuamua. Atlas shows course corrections, subtle changes in trajectory that can't be explained by gravitational influences or outgassing. Loeb launched the Galileo project in 2021, a multi-million-dollar initiative to search for evidence of extraterrestrial technology using rigorous scientific methods. He's not some fringe conspiracy theorist. He's published over 1,000 papers, advised multiple government agencies, and directed Harvard's Institute for Theory and Computation. The Galileo project has deployed advanced telescopes specifically to track objects like 3I/Atlas. What they're finding is unsettling. Objects that enter our solar system change velocity in ways that suggest propulsion, and leave along trajectories that seem targeted rather than random. Loeb's argument is simple but profound. We're either experiencing the most unlikely statistical anomaly in astronomical history, 3 bizarre interstellar objects in 7 years, or we're being visited by technology from another civilization. And if we're being visited, the objects are likely probes gathering information. Look at the pattern. Oumuamua arrives just as humanity achieves breakthrough detection capabilities for exoplanets. 2I Borisov comes as governments begin UAP disclosure. 3I Atlas shows up during a period of unprecedented interest in extraterrestrial intelligence and expanded space observation programs. If these are probes, they're not hiding. They're passing through our system at times when we're just barely capable of detecting them, almost as if testing our observation capabilities, measuring our technological development, gathering intelligence about a species that's just starting to look outward. And here's what makes conspiracy theorists take notice: the institutional resistance to even considering the artificial hypothesis. Dr. Loeb has been criticized, marginalized, and dismissed by colleagues for simply following the evidence where it leads. Why? Why is suggesting these objects might be artificial considered career suicide, when it's actually the most logical explanation? The Galileo project continues tracking, continues observing, continues building the case that we're not just being visited, we're being systematically studied. 3 objects in 7 years. How many have we missed? How many more are coming? And most importantly, what are they looking for? In our episode, Oumuamua was gathering intelligence about humanity's awakening. In reality, we have 3 confirmed interstellar visitors exhibiting anomalous behavior. A Harvard astronomer staking his reputation on the artificial hypothesis, and a pattern that suggests deliberate reconnaissance rather than cosmic coincidence. Quick reality check on the bloodline theory from episode 2. The idea of specific families carrying genetic markers from ancient intervention sounds wild, but epigenetics has proven that experiences can alter gene expression across generations. Trauma, learning, even environmental stress creates inherited markers. The Basque people have genetic markers matching no other European population, and oral traditions about sky people. The Sherpa have documented genetic adaptations to high altitude that appeared faster than normal evolution allows. The Bajau people's diving abilities involve genetic changes that shouldn't exist. Modern genetics has identified ghost populations, extinct groups that interbred with humans and vanished, leaving only DNA traces. The Denisovans are known entirely through genetic evidence. What if some ghost populations weren't just other human subspecies? Aboriginal Australians describe the Wandjina from the Milky Way. Hopi speak of Kachinas teaching astronomy. The Dogon knew about Sirius B before telescopes could detect it. Separate cultures, identical themes. Beings from the sky who shared knowledge and left descendants. The bloodline theory isn't about proving alien DNA. It's about recognizing that human genetic history is more complex than we thought, with influences we can't fully explain. Whether those influences are natural, cultural, or something else, that's the real mystery. Let's be clear. The human brain loves finding patterns, even in randomness. That's called apophenia. The Nazca mummies could be hoaxes, Lake Baikal could harbor unknown geology. The interstellar visitors could be exotic natural objects we don't understand yet. But dismissing mysteries too quickly is just as unscientific as accepting them without question. History proves this. Continental drift was ridiculed. Asteroid impacts causing extinctions were mocked. And now both are established fact. We're living through a moment where governments admit UAPs represent real objects with flight characteristics beyond current technology. Where Harvard astronomers risk their careers to suggest we're being visited. Where genetic archaeology keeps finding inexplicable population influences. The honest answer is, we don't know what these patterns mean. But the patterns exist. The anomalies are documented. And the questions deserve serious investigation, not automatic dismissal or blind acceptance. The truth is usually more complicated than any simple explanation suggests.
So here's what we know for certain.
Three-fingered mummies with unexplained DNA exist in Peru. Russian researchers documented anomalies in Lake Baikal that official reports can't explain. 3 interstellar objects entered our solar system in 7 years, and Harvard's top astronomer says they're likely artificial probes. These aren't conspiracy theories. They're documented anomalies that mainstream science hasn't resolved. What they mean is the real question. Natural phenomena we haven't understood. Evidence of non-human intelligence. Something we haven't imagined. The fourth signal files asks, what if the mysteries are connected? What if there's a pattern we're only beginning to see? What if our species has a history more complex than we've been taught? Whether that signal comes from ancient aliens or unknown natural processes, it's pointing toward questions that deserve investigation. Not because we want to believe in extraterrestrial intervention, but because we want to understand what's actually happening. Episode 3 is coming. Subscribe to be notified, and stay tuned. Until then, keep questioning, keep investigating, and remember, the most important thing isn't what you believe about these mysteries. It's that you engage with them critically, seriously, and with an open mind. The investigation continues.